Okay, 7:09 a.m. The cell phone thinks 8:09 because of I'm right on the edge of the time zone. And sunrise, shortest day of the year. See where the sun's hitting on the wall. At solstice or equinox, it'll go right down the middle of the house. Science! Yeah! Alright. I got oatmeal cooked already. Heater's going. It is 27 degrees in here right now. Heck yeah. Alright. I don't know why I sound so excited. I'm just trying to convince myself, I guess. Alright, let's see. Coffee cup. That's full of cold from yesterday. It's not cold enough in here for the water to freeze in here. I'm not dealing with any running water right now. I got water in a pitcher, but it's still liquid, so that's good. Let's see. Trying to stay on task here. Trying to reheat that. That'll be good to go. Whew, yeah. I've been sleeping with my hoodie. That makes a huge difference. It really does. Because what I was doing before is I'd sleep with my toque on. And I don't know if I would go through, I don't know if it's metabolism or whatever, but you get warm and then you get cold and you get warm. It's like your body goes through cycles. I do think that you can generate a lot of heat and then you get too warm or something like that. So I would wake up quite often with the toque knocked off, and then you'd have to find it again in the dark. And you're like, it's around here somewhere, and then you put it back on, get your head under the covers, warm up, and then you'd wake up and your ears were cold. Well, with the hoodie, that doesn't seem to be happening. I can pull it over my head, and most of the time I wake up, it's still on. So, there you go. That works. So, yeah. Eat good. Yeah, I was running the propane a lot this week, and I ended up being home. Today's Saturday. I was off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I thought I went back Friday. They changed my schedule. So what happened was Thursday afternoon, I drove back out thinking I was going to town because I was going to camp in town Thursday night because I had a 7 o'clock shift on Friday, is what my schedule said. So I get to the post office, check, got no mail, no big deal. Pull out the phone, check a couple things, think, well, let's check my schedule to make sure that, something hasn't changed or whatever. Look at the schedule, and they had changed everything. And apparently where I was off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on my schedule, and because I get my schedule on my phone, I always do a screenshot, so partially because they keep changing it. And if they change it and I don't know, then they get all upset. Well, I can say, well, this is what I got, oh, crap, I just burned my coffee, I think. Hang on. Let's see how we did. I'm not supposed to boil the coffee. It might be okay. Anyway, so I had, on my schedule, was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off. Okay. So I came home Monday night. That's where it gets confusing, right? So I was home Monday night because I'm off on Tuesday. So I drove home Monday after work. And then Thursday afternoon, I'm in town already, ready to. I'm in Sierra Blanca at the post office, ready to go into El Paso, and look at the schedule. No, they'd shifted my 3 days off, so they wanted me probably to work on Tuesday when I was at home. Well, all right, fine. But then that means that I was off on Friday, 21st. Yeah, this is Saturday morning now. So that means that my 3 days off means that I was off on yesterday. So I'm like, all right, turn around, come back home again, unload the truck, right? Because I had my sleeping bag, I had the cooler, I had laptops and everything. I'm like, okay, bring everything in. It's like 2 or 3 trips, it seems like. And then today's shift doesn't start till 1:30 p.m. So I didn't have to get up early, right? Yeah, there's days where if I have to be there before, if I got to be there by 7:30, I'll get up at 4 o'clock in the morning or something ridiculous like that. Although usually at that point I'll just go in the night before and camp there, so I don't have to wake up so early. Anyway, it's getting to the point I sleep about as good in the truck as I do in the house, but it's just nice to be here because you spend too much time in the parking lot. It's just not good. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, it's getting annoying. Now it's really gonna matter how much of a stink they make, right? I'm like, I've told them, it's like, hey, you can change the schedule all you want, but I don't got cell phone coverage. Once I'm home, I might see it. I usually don't. So I'm just telling me, I was whatever, and it cost me $100 not being there, right? The really kind of annoying part of that is I ended up driving into Sierra Blanca twice in my 3 days off because I knew I had a package, so I drive in. Oh, thank you very much to whoever sent me the little toy race cars. I'm going to have to see what I can do with that. It'll give me something to amuse myself over Christmas Day, I guess. I know I'm not working Christmas Day, so I'm not sure what's going to happen beyond that. We don't work on Christmas. They have a little bit of a heart, I guess. I don't know. I was surprised, even the Walmart store. I work for Sam's, but we're not necessarily on the same program sometimes. But the Walmart store that I stay at had their sign says they're open Christmas Eve until 6 p.m. I think, and then they're closed all day Christmas Day, and then the Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, they open at 6 in the morning, I think, or something like that. That Walmart is normally open 24 hours, so they're closed for that day, like a day and a half or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting, but yeah. Anyway. Yeah, you got the package. So yeah, this has been an interesting year for packages that I didn't order. So thank you to everybody who's sending me stuff. That's kind of cool. I did post the video on the solar lights, the ones that are the solar outside yard lights. I've got an upgraded version of one of those. I'm pretty sure that was sent by the same person. It's got a much bigger light head on it and a bigger solar panel, so I'm going to put that kind of by where I park the truck. I haven't got it up yet, but that should light that area up really nice. That one's kind of cool. It's got a remote control, so I could have the remote control in the truck and turn it on when I get home. Right? I don't think it's got motion on it. I think it's just remote control. So plus you can dim it, which is kind of neat. So I will do a review on that. Probably next week when I come home, I'll put it up. So, yeah. This time of year, I don't have to worry about stepping on snakes. I haven't seen a snake in the cold yet. So, it's funny. I find myself walking out the door. I look a little bit, but then I just walk. You know, it's like I got to remember come springtime to start looking for snakes again. So yeah, if you hear the whine, that's I've got the propane heater going, which doesn't make any noise. It just makes a kind of a flickering sound. You can kind of hear that, and then the whine is the fan. I've got a little computer case fan running off a DC on that. Oh, speaking of which, I just left the light on. Sun is up. We don't need the lights now. Oh yeah, and for references, I don't think this is in the shot. So, you can see the shine. I put up clear plastic over the first interior wall, and that's a moving blanket over the doorway. I had done something like that in the bus, and it does seem to help. If it's cold like this and I'm running the heat, this heat mostly is shining right on me because it's, if you can see it, right there. Oops, there. Yeah, that's the Mr. Buddy heater, or portable Buddy, Mr. Heater, whatever, propane heater. It's running off a 15-pound propane tank and an adapter hose. Anyway, and then I built a framework to mount a fan. Anyway, that's a couple years back. So it's more of a radiant heater. It shines on you, but turning the fan on does force the heat to circulate a little more. But behind the heater, it is definitely colder. And now with the plastic up, also this time home, all the vents that are drilled, except the soffits. I didn't do anything to the soffits, but the chimney vent and the chimney vent and the gable vent on both ends, I put cardboard over the openings. So it's hard to really be definitively sure if it's working, like if it's making a huge difference, because every day is different out here anyway. So I don't know. At least I don't have wind whistling through that. And you got to think if the chimney vent is made to let the heat rise and go out, that has to help a little bit. So yeah. What I'm thinking of doing, and this has been a back and forth kind of a process. My current plan that it's one of those things where you say it and then you think about it and you're like, oh, that actually felt good. Some things you just like, oh, I don't want to do that, so you just never do. It has been in the plan, and the more I think about it, I'm like, okay, I'm in my 50s now. By the time I'm in my 60s and 70s, I'm probably going to want to be a little more comfortable in here. Right now I can tough it out. That's why I didn't want to put the time into it this year. But now I've got DC wiring pulled. That was one of the things that I was trying to do. I didn't talk about that much yet. When I built the house, I pulled the regular AC wiring, so I've got lights and plug-ins and everything like that, and that runs off the inverter. But I also wanted to run some DC wiring right off of the battery bank out there. Because, like, say for instance, if the inverter quits working, all that wiring doesn't do any good, but I still have power back in the batteries, right? And I've got, like, the little Harbor Freight lights that come with the solar kit. They work pretty well. In fact, that's what was just on. I have one of those sitting right over the stove, and I've got just a switch plugged into it, and I can reach up and turn it on. That's coming off of the main batteries. Okay. So, quick and easy kind of thing. I finally got that wire pulled from the south side over across the ceiling to the north side. So what I did, I wired one run from the back all the way to the front with 12 gauge wire for DC. And then I've got, it might even be visible, I'm not sure where I can see, right about here, a little black box I think is in the shot still. Anyway, that's a trailer junction box. And like you would use if you had a trailer for lighting, that kind of thing, right? Not an RV trailer, but like if you had, if your truck was wired for a trailer, and you wanted to just hook up individual instead of the plug-in kind of thing. I don't remember exactly where you use those, but I've used them somewhere before. Anyway, it's a black box with a cover that comes off. It's all set up to be waterproof, which is, I don't really need that, but it's got individual screw terminals inside. So what I like it for is this kind of thing where I can pull a wire to a point, crimp on screw terminal ends, set them in there, tighten the nut down, and then later I can come back with a new wire, connect it. So for instance, on this side, the DC light that's on the ceiling is coming from over there, and I've also got a cigarette lighter adapter, so I could charge the phone directly off of the battery if I wanted to. Okay, that kind of a thing. Anyway, so I was reluctant to do any wiring, or I was, one of the reasons I was holding off on closing up the ceiling is I didn't want to give, it was kind of like that fear of missing out, and everybody talks about the fear of missing out. It's like, you don't want to go out, but your friends are going out, and maybe something cool will happen, and if you go to school on Monday, and everybody talks about this crazy thing that happened, and you missed it because you were sitting at home doing algebra, you know. So you're like, well, you don't really feel like going out, but you go out because you don't want to miss out. Okay. For me, it's kind of like, I never really cared about that, so I would probably sit home and do algebra. Sorry. But looking at the ceiling and the walls, I was like, most people, if you built a house, you'd wire the house, you'd follow the blueprint, you'd put the insulation up, you'd put the drywall up, you'd mud it, you'd tape it, you'd paint it, you'd go on with your life. I have this horrible feeling like I'm going to want to do something else. I mean, the wiring is done, but I'm writing a book about a spaceship. And that just keeps reminding me of what it was like on the ships. Wiring was accessible on the ships, on the Navy ships, so that if they needed to, they could get in and fix something. It wasn't behind the drywall. On the aircraft, you could get to every wiring loom. You could replace a wiring loom if you needed to. On your car, you can kind of do that. You can, on the engine, you can replace wiring looms, whole wiring harnesses. You can get to all the wires. So if something chafes through, no, I'm not worried about wire getting damaged, really. So what I've decided on my walls, when I close up the walls, I'm going to have about a 16-inch piece that goes right across where all the wires are, and I'm going to make that a removable panel, just so that if I decide to add a circuit later, the AC and the DC are close to each other, but they're in different holes because you're not supposed to have them too close. So I separated them by maybe 6 inches or something like that. Also, I might pull Ethernet. I don't have wire right now for doing that. It wouldn't be horribly expensive to go buy a roll. All right, and if you do it, you would have one central point where your switch is, your hub, and then you'd make all your runs. So I've been thinking, for instance, sensors everywhere for the automated systems that I have yet to invent. But if you're doing robots and electronics and that kind of a thing, it would be nice to know how hot it is outside, how hot the hot water system is outside, how fast the wind is blowing for your windmill that I haven't built yet. I could directly measure every battery. And a lot of that comes down to the little Arduinos and the Raspberry Pis that I talked about. So instead of just my laptops, I'm talking about a lot of little inexpensive computers that could be anywhere. All right. So that's why I haven't closed anything up yet. But I kind of was like, well, okay, if I just give myself permission to close it all up except for a 16-inch panel that I can then make a separate piece that I could just take off and put back on again, then that doesn't seem so bad. Okay. Drywall. Drywall is not something I want to do. I just don't. I honestly made that decision long before I realized that drywall is actually fairly inexpensive. You know, I couldn't remember. You know, I don't know. Yeah, I have put up a little bit of drywall, more for repairing something. Um, when my dad was having his house built, um, I guess, no, on the one house he had a general contractor that did the framing, and then my dad pulled all the wires and a few things like that. I think he did plumbing, but I don't remember on that one. And then when it came to drywall, he was like, "No, we're going to hire somebody. Those guys are really fast, and we just get out of the way," kind of thing. So I think I saw part of that, and I just don't want to deal with it. You know, it's funny. I built the whole house, but I just don't want to do drywall, right? I don't know. It's just a weird thing for me, I guess. And I'm used to the wood. You know, I've been in here for a while, and I know you're not supposed to leave exposed wood. Now I'm used to it. So I'm considering options still. The way I wired the house, most of the plugins, with the exception of a few up here in the front, almost all the plugins are above the 48-inch line, and I did that on purpose so that when I did the walls I could cover the entire bottom half of the wall without doing any cutouts. Okay, I guess most people would do it the opposite way, but I did that on purpose. My thought is do the 48-inch and then that 16-inch for the wiring access, which will include all of the plugins, and then I've got the top 3 feet or 32 inches, whatever it is, continuous, unbroken again. Okay, so if I do a wiring access panel, I can make them shorter and maybe make it out of plastic, coroplast, something like that. I don't really care what it looks like. I just want to have something to cover the insulation and the wires, but still be able to get into it easily. So I'm just going to have screws that I can take out and get into that, kind of the way the aircraft were. In fact, the bus is kind of the same way. That's maybe where I got reminded of it, was on the bus up, kind of where it rounds over into the ceiling. There's a panel that's about this big. I took that off. If you remember some of the shots of the bus, there's an opening there. That's where they ran their wiring. Same kind of idea. And you can just take that off and get in there. Anyway, so what I'm thinking, OSB is $10 a sheet. That's about the cheapest thing I can think of to close up the wall. The bottom 4 feet is going to be behind everything, right? So it wouldn't even matter if I put OSB up on the wall on the bottom, because I've got so much stuff in here. Shelves, the countertops, the desk, the bed, the drawing desk. You don't see the bottom of the wall at all. So that's easy. So what's going to happen is when I get to that stage, I'm going to do like one side at a time, move everything to the other side, do the ceiling and the wall probably at the same time, and then close it up and then move everything to the other side. So I'm going to do that side first because that stuff is all movable. Everything on this side is still mounted to the studs. So when I put my shelf up, it's mounted to the studs. So I have to redo all of that. I knew that was going to be an issue. I just did it anyway, kind of thing. And then I'll make a decision. Do I want to redo it, or should I, just cut little notches out and go with it? Haven't decided yet. Could go either way. I'm not worried about my resale value of my house right now. Not an issue. Right. Digital says it's up to 30 degrees now. We're doing good. It's funny when you get used to it. I'm not wearing my toque or my hoodie. You know, it's like, yeah, my ears are doing all right. I am in front of the heater though. The last part, and this just happened a few days ago, and this is that one idea that you have when you have that feel good moment. Now I haven't priced it out, so I don't know. My brother Kevin did tongue and groove in one of the places he lived. He did it on the walls, and you know he's one of those craftsmen that can really do nice stuff. So he cuts his tongue and groove for an angle, so he put it up, I think, at 30 degrees on one wall. You know, so every piece had a cut on it. So he had, that was one of the times where I think he just sent me home. I came out to help him a couple times, and I always screwed up the cuts. So he gave me a job of standing in the corner, and that was about as far as we got, I think. But yeah, I don't have the knack that he does. Anyway, but it reminded me, that would be something that would be easier to work with around everything in here, because I do not want to have to bring in a full sheet of 4x8 to do the ceiling. You know, so I'd be cutting around all my lights and everything, and I'm like, I just don't want to do that. So I think what I'm going to end up with is try to find cheap tongue and groove pine. I'm pretty sure what he had was like, you know, maybe with this wide, so somewhere between 4 and 6 inches, wider than a 2x4. It was pretty thin, it was cheap, it had a little bit of character, it had knots in it. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't floor wood, right? It was thin. And I'm pretty sure it was pine. It was cheap. And I've always assumed it wasn't very expensive. Now, I don't know. I haven't looked it up. I tried to look it up a little bit, but my internet out here was really bad, so I kind of gave up. So that's kind of the going ahead plan. And I'm so used, you know, my thinking is I'm so used to seeing the OSB and the studs now. I mean, yeah, if I had, you know, a nicely painted drywall wall, I would probably get used to it. You know, I've lived in houses before, but I like it. You know, it's just kind of, it feels like something that I like. So my plan is just to put up the tongue and groove pine unfinished, just pop it up with a brad nailer and go on with my life. You know, so it'll be insulate the ceiling, put up a sheet of plastic, and then the tongue and groove pine. And where I've got lights, you know, since you're working with smaller pieces, then I could do a little cutout around the lights and it'll be easier, that kind of a thing, right? And, you know, in here I've only got the 4 lights. 3 of them are on the same line, so that should make that pretty easy. And then after that, any of the DC lighting, I'm going to make a lamp that mounts to the wall on an arm that I can pull out and move around then. So that's kind of the plan there. Yeah. That's kind of, you know, that'll be how I get around that fear of not being able to get into the wiring so that I can get into it. So I'll just leave an access panel of some sort. And then it'll be good. Yeah, anyway. So I'm going to consider this the end of the year video. I didn't do a walk around outside, but there was that 1000 video not too long ago. Nothing outside really has changed, so that makes it pretty easy. So this is the 21st of December 2019. Oh, I was going to mention subscribers. We're up to 1,065 as of yesterday. So yeah, thank you to everybody who's watching the videos. If you have been, thank you for watching. If you have not yet subscribed, subscribers are always welcome. Thank you. If you do subscribe, click the little bell so you're notified when videos are available to watch. I don't really have a set schedule when I put things up. You know, will put it up when I can. So that'd be that. Anyway, thank you, and stay tuned for the next one. Bye for now. 3, 2, 1. End of clip.